jurors like to hold someone accountable, right? So if you're
Right.
saying my husband did it, he's not here, but he did it,
Right.
the jury is like, well, something happened and we can't hold the husband responsible because he's not here. So we're going to hold the wife responsible. Let the record show my continuing objection to the drama and the messiness.
Yes, that's it. So my tagline was suggested by my daughter.
Yeah.
There is a running joke in our house when I get um, text messages and emails late, especially during the legislative session. I'll get them late at night, from a whole variety of people and legislators, lobbyists, all kinds of different people, even here, internally at IPDC. And Chris will joke. She'll say, "Oh, who's that? What's her name?" She's like, "What's her name?"
Yeah.
And I always say, "Justice. It's Justice." And so my daughter said that my tagline should be, um, "I love my wife, but that doesn't mean I can't see Lady Justice on the side." Yeah, and I think it's housewives like,
It's so
right?
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so good.
yeah.
I love it. I'm here with Zach Stock, and I am Suzy St. John, and we are returning to Wendy Osefo's case and the strategic question, should she be tried with her co-defendant husband? Or should they be tried separately? It's an issue that Wendy keeps flip-flopping on, and we're going to talk about why it matters for the defense. So welcome back to Zach and Suzy Defend the Real Housewives. In this series, two longtime fans of the Real Housewives discuss the criminal cases involving the housewife ladies from a defense perspective and try to convince you that watching this show is great for attorney wellness. We'll jump right into this legal issue for Wendy. So,
Yes.
yesterday or last time we talked about the basically the allegations that stem from a burglary in 2024, April 2024, after Wendy and Eddie went to Jamaica on vacation with their kids. Then the police investigate and they claim that there's no signs of forced entry. The alarm didn't go off. Where things went really wrong is that Eddie submitted three separate insurance claims for lost or stolen items, luxury items, totaling almost a $500,000. And
Yeah.
Eddie supposedly sent Wendy an email saying, "Hey, do you have any more high value items to add to this list of stolen items for the insurance?" And I think that might be the basis for the conspiracy charge, but they're both charged with umpteen counts of insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and at least one charge of making a false statement to the police. And I guess I should just give this disclaimer again now
Yeah.
that
Yep.
yeah, so Maryland Circuit Court does not have very friendly access to court records. So you have to call and then they print and send you physical copies, which and then I'm just a no. So
Yeah.
we're going off what's been reported in the media. So take the
This isn't
accuracy.
That's right. This isn't TMZ. This case is a muse for our conversation about interesting criminal justice procedural issues, criminal justice substantive issues, and to talk about the housewives. I mean, that's it. So we're not TMZ.
That's
This
right.
is yeah. No media credentials are forthcoming.
True. True. So, all right. So jumping into now we're talking
Yeah.
about separate trials. So Wendy and her husband Eddie are co-defendants, and they have separate attorneys, which is good. We talked about that last time. And so they have done more flip-flopping on separate trials than I mean, I think the judge is actually being very generous to let them go back and forth because I think it was
Yeah.
initially they wanted separate trials, which I think probably is the best idea as the default. If you're not sure
Yeah.
if your defenses are going to align, we'll talk about that in a second. But
Yeah.
then they asked for joint trials, and that was granted. And then in March, they asked for separate trials again. And then I think most recently it's being reported in late May. Then they want it. Now they're back on for a joint
in January, I
trial.
think. Joint trial is scheduled for January.
January 20, yeah, 2027. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I don't, I've said before, I'm mostly an appellate lawyer. I think you have been too, but
Mm-hmm.
I, a trial scheduled that far out jointly would be indicative, I think, of a judge who really wants that trial to take place in January.
Mm-hmm.
He or she is giving them plenty of time to get ready, and they need to figure out if this is going to change again. They better figure
Right.
it out because
And
the judge
and
is not going to be happy if they have to reschedule again.
and that's the other thing too, is that we didn't talk about this last time, but that the prosecution sought to do discovery essentially of the last 8 years of Wendy and Eddie's financial records in order
Yeah,
to establish motive, because they believe that this burglary was staged to get money because they are in a financial crisis. So the additional time might also be for that, for the
yeah,
prosecution to go through it, and then the defense to see, and then depending on what's going on with those finances, I don't know. They might want to change
yeah,
again. I don't know.
yeah.
So,
No, that's true. Yeah, I wouldn't
but
guarantee that the trial is happening in January. I guess I just, under traditional circumstances, I would think it would be,
yeah,
trial set 6, 7 months into the future.
right.
Um, the judge is saying, "Hey guys, let's get serious about this." The charges have been pending for some time.
Yeah, since late 2025. So
Yeah,
I think fall of 2025.
yeah,
So we call separate trials severance. We
yeah.
in Indiana here, you want severance from your co-defendant. So you
Hmm.
could be tried um separately. And so one of the reasons, right, before we get into defenses, and I'll let you
Hmm.
talk about that too, but is speedy trial rights. So you can assert a speedy trial right. In Indiana, we have a special criminal rule that allows you to have a trial in 70 days. Um, if you want to assert a fast and speedy, and ultimately anybody, whether or not they assert their speedy trial rights, is supposed to be tried within a year. But if your co-defendant wants a fast and speedy trial in 70 days, and your attorney, or you as the attorney, you need more time, because that's the strategy decision for the attorney, that would be a basis for severance, is that I need more time, they want to go fast.
It's so interesting how the speedy trial rights, we think of them as constitutional, and of course they are, but these are all sort of
Yeah,
pre-constitute. These are sort of the way we implement the constitutional rule, and everybody does
right.
it different.
Yeah, this is, I think, extra,
Extra, that's right.
constitution
Yeah.
extra. Okay, so speedy trial rights is one reason you want severance if there's a difference in co-defendant.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then we talked about antagonistic defenses last time, but
Hmm.
having mutually antagonistic defenses
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
another reason.
Yeah. And I mean, it's essentially, you can probably think of a lot of different permutations, but it's essentially mutually exclusive or just irreconcilably contradictory um, defenses. I think we talked last time that it's like, it wasn't me,
Mm-hmm.
it was her, or it wasn't
Yeah.
me, it was him. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
the obvious. Um, they both
Yeah.
can't be true at the same time, or this person's innocence is contingent on the other person's guilt, I think, is another way to look at it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's a big one
Yeah,
for separate trials. And
yeah,
I mean, kind of related that to that is the right to confront the witnesses against you,
yeah,
um, because sometimes, and I don't think this happened with Wendy and Eddie, but sometimes one of the co-defendants will give a statement to police. They'll waive
Right.
their rights, and they will make a statement that maybe incriminates themselves and the other person against you. So it's
Hmm.
kind of, I think it's kind of related to antagonistic defenses in a
Yeah.
way, um, because you want to be able, because as the attorney, you want to be able to say, all right, when you made this, you want to be able to cross-examine and impeach that statement essentially.
Yeah.
And if the person who
Hmm.
made it says, I'm not going to testify, then it's just out there. Um,
Right.
and so that can be
And
grounds for severance.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, but definitely grounds for severance and definitely common because as definitely our members know listening to this, there's a game theory named after this very situation called the prisoner's dilemma, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, two two people held for the same thing, whether it was a conspiracy or just the same act, and all the incentives are for them to turn on each other. Now, in reality, the best result is for them both to keep their mouths shut. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, all it takes is someone to say to the accused, "Well, he is telling me this story," and then it all changes. All the incentives are to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it happens all the time. And I mean, I don't think I'm going out on a limb here when I say a lot of our members aren't defending a lot of high profile, um, multi-million dollar financial fraud. I think the allegation here is that maybe $500,000 the insurance
Mm-hmm.
company was defrauded. I don't think that
Yeah.
happens in a lot of public defense cases, and so and there's not a lot of insurance
Right.
investigation here. There's probably been a significant paper trail
Mm-hmm.
of statements made by Wendy and or Eddie to the
Mm-hmm.
insurance company with respect to the claims being made,
Mm-hmm.
and those might not rise to the level of an inculpatory confession
Mm-hmm.
or partly inculpatory, partly exculpatory, but they are potentially the statements of co-conspirators um,
Yeah.
that could come in under the hearsay
Mm.
exception or statements made by co-conspirators in furtherance of the conspiracy, which then again, there again is another factor. What's a little bit
But
different about this one, of course, than a standard
hus-
one too, in addition to the money, is the spousal relationship.
exactly. So we will talk about in a moment here why they might have reversed course and the strategy
Yeah.
behind
Okay.
having a joint trial. But we do have to talk about Rhode Island and stuff. However,
Let's
I
get the
want to.
entertaining stuff in here.
Yeah, exactly. I want to start a new segment here and now called
Okay.
"Can I Pull You Aside?" So Zach, can I pull you to the side for a moment?
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Can I
because
have a
I
chat?
can we have a chat? Because I
Yeah.
think we need to address something you said in the last episode.
Okay.
So if you recall, we're going to recommend the one episode that we would get across all franchises that we would give to a skeptic if
Yeah.
they were only willing to watch one to get them hooked.
Yeah.
And we both chose the Jen Shah arrest episode, bus
Yes.
ride.
Yep.
But you said it,
Independently. People are not going to believe that, but it was totally independent.
yeah, I mean, Universal. But you said it was season two, episode one, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
season two, episode 10, Zach,
Oh, my
1,
God.
0. So we,
Okay.
anywhere, the best case scenario, anywhere from none to two people found it on their own, or
Yeah.
we have alienated them forever.
They're like, what are you talking about? You liars? Yeah. I'm sorry. I did say
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
right.
I wrote it
Hold space
down.
for
I
that
must have just
error.
seen the one. Yeah. I
No,
was trying
yeah,
to, yeah.
exactly. That's what happened. And
Yeah.
it's funny, and I wanted to call you out for it because if I had to go first, I would have been like the Jen Shaw arrest episode.
Yeah.
I was not prepared to say what I knew it was season two, but I wasn't prepared to say what.
Details.
Okay, all
Thank you
right.
for clarifying that. That was definitely chat worthy.
Yeah.
an aside.
And but if you're okay with it, I think we can move forward. Can we just move
Okay,
forward?
good. Yeah, I think so. If you're okay,
Okay.
I mean, I feel so terrible. I feel
Well,
responsible.
right. You can get me back in a future episode.
Yeah.
Um, Rhode Island, right?
Yeah,
And I'm always I am always, wary of a new franchise because it's like, do I
sure.
have the time? Do I
Yeah,
have the space in my heart? Can I care for these women the same? Um,
right.
and I know, so we're going to talk about Rhode Island, love it or hate it. I I remember a few, oh God, this was probably like a month ago at least, where I said, Zach, you gotta watch it. It's
Hmm.
it's good. I love it or hate it. I'll go first. Hate it. I'm on kind of in the hate it camp now. Okay.
What?
There are some good things about it, right?
Okay, explain yourself.
Okay. The ladies are not making me laugh enough.
Oh,
Kelsey,
okay.
Kelsey, she's she's there, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, and hate it is strong. I'm still
But you're not loving it. I mean, I hear you. So this is point counterpoint. This is Siskel and Ebert here.
okay.
Crossfire. I love it, and I love Rhode Island, and it's like the accents, the
Oh,
eccentricities. These women, several of them, they're some of the most eccentric people
hmm.
I have ever met. Culturally, this is like when I said to the first episode, like the things about the Housewives that attracts me the most is when I don't understand
True.
the culture, where I'm like, what
Yeah.
is happening?
Yeah.
And they have that in spades. Many of them have known each other since they were really really little, and
Hmm.
um, I don't know. There was just it was the accents, the accent, and there's a part of it too where it was like,
I
this
love a
is clearly
cracker.
I need a cracker. I love a
Love it. I
cracker.
love a cracker.
Alicia was just amazing, and wouldn't drive. She has the line where no, you had to laugh at this, where she was
Yes.
like, she won't drive. She's afraid to drive, and she's like, well, I ran over somebody, and she's like, and how am I supposed to deal with that? No word about who she ran over, what happened to the person she ran over, what just like how's that supposed to affect me? You know, like
Well, I mean, then I guess good for her. It's like, yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic with their significant others because there's just a finite number of men in their age bracket on Rhode Island that they're like, well, okay. And they don't seem
true. There really are a lot of episodes where peak, the one where I can't recall her name, but she had a prosthetic leg, Aviva in New
yeah.
York.
Aviva
And
Drescher.
right. And
Yeah.
she's like, the only thing fake about me is this. And she throws the leg on the table. And it's like, that is so, that is just so over the top.
That is true. That is an
That's,
iconic moment, throwing the
that may be
prosthetic leg out there. And she,
It may be where I started to turn from like Stockholm syndrome to actually really like, I'm
I
like, oh my
mean, that
God.
is, and she has one for flat shoes. She has one for heels. I don't know which one this was that made it on the table. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
that was
Hmm.
a trip. That was,
Hmm.
yeah, that's peak Real Housewives.
Yeah, it really was.
That's what we
Yeah.
love. So I promised in our teaser last time that you would reveal the one franchise you would keep if you could only keep one.
Yeah, I thought a lot about this too. And I think it's
Yeah.
got to be, I think it has to be Beverly Hills because, as I've said a couple times now, the reason I'm almost certain the main reason I'm into it is like, it's just sort of like an eye-opening, like what is happening kind of experience here. It's so foreign to my experience, my sensibility. It's like the opposite of everything. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, one of these times, we should talk about the Kyle and Dorit feud
Yeah,
recently. And because I think you are firmly Team Kyle, and I'm kind of Team Dorit on this
we
one.
should then. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good episode. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We can talk about that. Maybe, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked all the reasons why you might want severance to be severed from your codependent husband. Um, but why might you want to have a joint trial? Why might you want to reverse course and say, actually, it's better if we are tried together?
Yeah. And I started to say earlier something about the empty chair. I mean, I do
Yeah,
think that,
the optics of,
yeah, it just looks weird. I mean, I think jurors naturally, I think one hurdle that we always have to try to overcome. Again, I've read hundreds and hundreds of transcripts, voir dire transcripts of our people and
Mhm,
prosecutors asking jurors about their sort of preconceptions about a criminal case. And the hurdle that comes up over and over and over again is, what if my guy doesn't testify? Right.
mhm,
And many people, the man on the street interview, what do you think about a person who's charged with a crime and they don't speak up, they don't say anything? I mean,
mhm,
a huge number of people will say that's a big problem for me, right?
mhm,
That is, he should have to explain himself. You know,
mhm,
that's a common sentiment among people.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
but for better or worse, I mean, it seems natural in our everyday
right.
discourse, but
Yeah,
and I think a similar phenomenon is going on if your co-defendant doesn't show up.
right.
There's just the constant like, what's going on? Why aren't they there? Then they're
Yeah,
not paying attention. They're, you
it's
know,
yeah, I think particularly with spousal co-defendants,
hmm
um, sitting there together has a united front,
hmm
um, optical element that we are, a family unit. Um, whereas, if your spouse isn't there, it's kind of like,
hmm
what's going on,
hmm
with that. Um, so yeah, so the optics of just maintaining a united front as a family unit
hmm
can be powerful. And more cynically, if you think you might look better than the
yeah.
person sitting right next to you as far as the evidence and the guilt, then the jury could kind of assign who's more responsible. Um,
hmm
if they hear both sides of that, as opposed to, because jurors like to hold someone accountable, right? So if you're
Right.
saying my husband did it, he's not here, but he did it,
Right.
the jury is like, well, something happened and we can't hold the husband responsible because he's not here, so we're going to hold the wife responsible.
Right.
um and then if you're together and you think, well, Eddie did more, then maybe the jury will feel better about, okay, if we have
Yeah.
Eddie here, maybe go easy on Wendy.
I think that
um
cynical point is a really important one and something that, as I said before, I used to do some civil work and, um, in civil in Indiana, you have something, the Comparative Fault Act, where everyone can be allocated fault for an accident, even
mhm
non-parties. And as a defense attorney, which that's the part that I did, was, you want everybody you can possibly imagine who has some fault involved in the process for the point you just made. The
yeah
jury wants to divvy it out and they, 10% to this person, 20% to this person, 30% to this person.
mm-hmm
And, yeah, so I think that is, now we don't have percentages. Obviously, it's sort of yes or no in the criminal case,
yeah
but if you're going for doubt,
mm-hmm
in some ways, it's even a
mm-hmm
bigger victory in our world, 'cause if it can establish doubt,
mm-hmm
you
yeah
win, right?
yeah. And if so that's another reason, looking better by comparison. And
hmm
then if you don't have antagonistic defenses, if your defenses are completely
hmm
aligned, then it's kind
hmm
of like you have the benefit of like two attorneys
hmm
both working towards the same goal.
hmm
Um, that can be powerful too.
For sure. I mean,
Um,
very powerful. Now, the chances of that, though, I'm personally very skeptical that that's possible. I
in
mean,
this case or at
in
all.
any, I mean, it just
If they're
takes a
aligned.
little crack, right? It just
Yeah.
takes a tiny little
So
crack.
so I guess the perfect example, the always example, my cousin Vinny, where
Yeah,
the two Utes,
the
they
Utes.
both
Yep.
said, no, we weren't there. That wasn't us. That wasn't our
hmm
car. Their defenses
hmm
were completely aligned because they're both
Yep.
saying you've got the wrong guy. That was not us at all.
Yep.
Um,
That is a great example, and also an example of why it's sort of the exception that proves the rule.
mhm.
I mean, that's just as we've just talked about. I mean, it's so unusual to not get some discrepancy or some crack
Yeah.
in the solidarity.
That's a tangent though. Okay. So also it can be maybe comforting in a husband-wife scenario knowing that the person next to you can't necessarily testify about your marital conversation. So they can't force somebody
Yeah.
to.
hmm
So spousal privilege. What do you know about
Right.
spousal privilege, Zach?
Well, it's a really interesting point. I'm glad you mentioned it because it gave me an opportunity to go back and look at it. It's only occurred a couple of times for me at all in my career. And one thing I did remember is that Indiana does not have, I think, trad- like in the folk practice of law, if you talk to a person, they'll think of it as I can force my spouse or I can prevent my spouse from testifying.
Right.
Um, it's sort of like that bit in Arrested Development where he's like, my lawyer told me it's fine. I'm telling my family members that he's like, you can't prosecute a spouse, both spouses for the same crime. And Jason
You sure
Bateman's like,
can.
that's not what that means, Dad. Not sh- I got the worst effing lawyers, right? And this way, but anyway, in the common mind, I think it's I can prevent my spouse from saying what I told her. That's not
Mhm.
true in
Mm-mm.
Indiana. That is
No.
absolutely not true. If the spouse wants to testify to the communication, he or she can,
It just can't
but
be forced, right?
it
They
can't be
can't.
forced to do it.
Yeah.
And it's got to be about the other thing that's interesting about it is it it's not carte blanche like things if you're trying to communicate things through your spouse to someone else that's here if it were here in Indiana that's something they'd have to watch out for I think in this
Mm-hmm.
case Wendy and Eddie because if it's I'm trying to but if any of the allegations have any basis in truth at all like I'm tell the insurance company that X item is missing
Mm-hmm.
well I'm not sure that's a here in Indiana I'm not sure that would be privileged because you're trying to get that to a third person.
Yeah.
If it were Eddie to Wendy, like, hey, what's missing from your jewelry box?
Yeah.
Just wondering. And then Wendy's like, well, this, and this.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be spousal
Yeah.
privilege.
And
Yeah.
I would say spousal privilege is probably the weakest consideration for
Yeah. Yeah.
a joint
Yeah.
trial because, like you said, it is largely a myth. There's so many exceptions and
Yeah. Yeah.
ways that, it can happen, that it's not like there's no there's no guarantee.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No.
so so beyond that though, separate trials means two different trials. So one's going to happen first, one's going to happen second. And in the
Yeah.
criminal justice, we call it the prosecution getting a second bite at the apple, but in a way
Yeah.
that's allowed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
the first trial can be a practice round, and then the prosecution's done it once before, and
Mm-hmm.
the fear is that they will improve,
And it's
right?
devastating. I'm sure you've seen it. I've had appeals from cases where um, there was
Hung
a
jury.
mistrial in the first a hung
Oh yeah,
jury.
yeah,
Then a mistrial was declared. Then they charged him again. They'd retry him. And I've had it a couple of times where I've read both transcripts. I've
yeah,
read and in every case I've had, this state's way better. And
yeah.
and That's a bit, I would think that would be a pretty big consideration
I
to wanting a
agree.
joint trial.
I agree. Because the prosecutor and the attorney, they can talk to the jurors afterwards, or the
Right.
jurors talk to them and say, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like. And then
Yeah.
you kind of know, right?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
uh where you need to tighten up. Um so and related to that, though, like you said, two different transcripts. So there's two different trials. So once you have one trial and a witness says something under oath, then
Yep.
that can be used to impeach that same witness if they come to the second trial as well and say something a little different.
Yep. Yep.
From the defense perspective, it might be good if you're not calling any witnesses and it's only prosecution witnesses, but if it's a defense witness, the prosecution is certainly going to um,
Right.
seize on
Yeah,
that.
no, that's huge. I mean, you're just given again, it applies to both sides, but you're giving people a lot of material. You're really locking the testimony in. Um,
Yeah.
that this is the way it's going to be, which is why they both get, which is why everybody gets better. It's like, this is the way it's going to be. There's no
Yeah.
surprises at that point, or there shouldn't
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And even the joint appearance, I mean, I would just
Yeah.
be so risk averse,
Yeah.
feel like any crack would be exploited.
Right.
But
Um,
then we can't forget the human. I mean, by all accounts on television, they really actually of all these different reality piece stars, they seem to have a really good relationship and a nice family. And it's
I
like,
know, I know.
so,
And I
uh,
probably I think so. I said last time that Wendy was one of my favorites, and I think
yeah,
I might be in the minority in that because the internet is very.
I
Oh,
like her a lot too.
should we talk about the mugshot thing? Because, you know, all right, their mugshots
Yeah, they're
are
not
so
good.
bad,
Yeah.
and that immediately turned the public, that would turn anybody who sees that against them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so Wendy told a story at the reunion, and I actually do believe this because I don't believe they would never, I don't think they would ever just go and smile in their mugshots like this is funny and a joke. Um,
Hmm.
she said that the officer who was snapping the mugshots was like kind of joking with her and putting her at ease and be like, "Hey, can you give me another look here? How about
Hmm.
this?" And
Hmm.
and then it made her smile and laugh because he was trying to lift her spirits.
Hmm.
Um, I believe that did happen.
Hmm.
I don't know if the goal was to lift her spirits. I think they knew exactly what they were doing because they chose this smiling one for both of them, and those are the
Hmm.
ones they put out. So this is why police officers are very nice and
Hmm.
personal people, and they are trying to relate to you, and it's very, I think, naturally as humans,
Hmm.
you want to believe that.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think I mean, maybe yeah, the cynical explanation is for me the easiest. I mean, that like he saw this guy that's taking the mugshot thought TMZ is on speed dial, and
Sure. Yeah.
this is going. The
Yeah.
thing is, I don't think anybody would get paid for it. How would you pay like
I mean,
TMZ unless they paid him to like really get it out there quick or something? I don't know, but.
I don't know if it's a payment thing. I think it helps the prosecution,
You think
right?
it was just to get them in the case, like to cement the case?
I think uh, she said that going for different looks. I personally don't believe they're not that dumb to get up there and think this is hilarious to smile on their own.
Right, right.
I I bet they had multiple to choose from, and they okay, next time on Zach and Susie Defend the Real Housewives, we'll discuss multi-franchise criminal charges for putting tracking devices on another person's car. Housewives be tracking, or they be being tracked. And Zach and I will um, battle it out over whether we're Team Kyle or Team Dorit in this divorce feud. And perhaps, maybe, Zach will reveal which housewife he'd want to be cross examined by the
Mhm.
least.